In our third part of our journey through Europe, we start where we left off in the last part, in Slovakia. We hike through the High Tatras mountains to the other side to our next destination, Poland. We visit there, among other places, the probably most beautiful city of Poland, Krakow. Then we go to Gdansk and the largest brick building in the world, Malbert Castle. We then continue west to the so-called Benelux countries, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. There we stop in amazing Amsterdam with its canals and also get to see the windmills so typical for Holland in Gdansk. We visit Rotterdam, the city with the largest European port and its extraordinary modern architecture. Further we see in Brussels one of the most beautiful squares in the world, Grand Place, experience with Bruges, a medieval city to touch, and conclude our journey today in the tranquil, but so wonderful Luxembourg. The High Tatras are considered the smallest high mountains in the world, but still there is a lot to discover here. The 2,499-meter high Rysy is the highest mountain in Poland, and the Slovak side also offers many high peaks, such as the Jelsdorf Peak at 2,655 meters. Hikers enjoy the beautiful trails, clear mountain lakes and idyllic waterfalls. About 225 kilometers of designated hiking trails cross the national park. The trail from Zakopane to the mountain lake Morskie Oko, in English, CI, is particularly popular. Cyclists, horseback riders and paragliders also get their money's worth. The beautiful regions and towns in the High Tatras impress with their picturesque landscape and special wooden architecture. Many larger and smaller towns can be found on an area of 340 square kilometers. 2/3 of the mountain region are located in Slovakia and 1/3 in Poland. Since the middle of the 20th century, the Tatras have been a national park in Slovakia and Poland. In 1992, the mountain range was declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. For many Poles, it is the most beautiful city in the country and the most important cultural metropolis. Krakow, the capital of the Malopolska Voivodeship, has 740,000 inhabitants. It has more than 5,000 historical buildings and cultural monuments. The Old Town, which remained undestroyed during World War II, is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Since 1257, the Rynek Glowny has marked the center of the Old Town. At 200 by 200 meters, Europe's largest market square invites visitors to stroll around. At night, life shifts to the medieval cellars, where numerous clubs, bars and galleries have set up shop. The Gothic Church of St. Mary is one of the most important sites on the square. Every full hour, the famous trumpet melody Hedgnal is heard from one of its 2 towers. It breaks off abruptly and is said to commemorate a bold sentinel who was pierced by an arrow while warning the city of a Tatar invasion. The most valuable work of art is the Lindenwood altar carved by the Nuremberg master Veit Stoss 1477 to 1489, the largest in Europe. History was written in Gdansk. Already in the 16th century, most of the magnificent patrician houses were built, which have been lovingly restored in the center. Here the restorers have done a masterpiece. The history of the approximately 1,000-year-old Hanseatic city is eventful. The city was under the rule of Slavic princes, the Teutonic Knights, the Polish crown. It belonged to Prussia and became the Free City of Gdansk from 1920 to 1939. A large part of the population was German at that time. Gdansk also has an important place in recent history. In 1980, the trade union Solidarność was founded here, led by Lech Wałęsa, the future president of Poland. Gdansk has wonderful sights, such as the Crane Gate, the Artist Court or the main city hall. You can stroll for hours through the alleys of the main city and be delighted by ever-new discoveries. But that's not all. In the neighboring Old Town, other architectural gems, such as the Mannerist Town Hall or the largest medieval flour mill in Europe, await visitors. The mighty Malbert Castle is enthroned on the north bank above the Nogat River, at the mouth of the Vistula. Malbert Castle is a mighty castle of the order with a long history and also the largest brick building in Europe. Many millions of bricks were laid in the 20-hectare castle complex between 1270 and 1393 on behalf of the Teutonic Knights. After the transfer of the seat of the Grand Master from Venice to Malbert Castle, the Knights of the Teutonic Order ruled their state from here from the 14th century onwards. The Castle of the Teutonic Knights has documented more than 7 centuries of German and Polish history up to the present day. For 147 years Malbert Castle remained the seat of the Grand Master and later served as the residence of Polish kings for another 315 years, until the First Polish Partition of 1772. During World War II, the castle then served as a military fortress and was largely destroyed. Almost 60% of the fortress was severely damaged or destroyed. It was not until 1960 that the castle was professionally restored and finally declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands, is the most populous city in the country. The city is most famous for its many canals, which used to be the main traffic routes. That's why Amsterdam is also known as the Venice of the North. The canals are lined with beautiful patrician houses, which have a narrow front towards the front, but form enough living space towards the back. Historic buildings, old merchants' houses and warehouses, small bridges and footbridges characterize the cityscape. In Amsterdam you will find a lot of special museums with world-famous works of art. Right next to the museum park is the Rijksmuseum with a famous night watch by Rembrandt and also the Van Gogh Museum. The Anne Frank House is of course also known to all visitors. Amsterdam is ideal for a city trip every year. Numerous tourists from all over the world are attracted to the Dutch metropolis. Amsterdam is best explored on foot or by bike during a city trip, or of course during a canal trip, on which you can also marvel at the wonderful house facades. Between picturesque waterways and historic drawbridges rise 19 impressive structures, the Windmills of Kinderdijk. The famous windmills, built in 1740, represent the beginnings of Dutch water management. Discover the watery nature around Dordrecht and be enchanted. The Windmills of Kinderdijk were declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Today they are considered a symbol of water management in the Netherlands. The windmills were built to keep the low-lying Alblasserwaard area free of water and dry. Even today, the setting is reminiscent of times long past. Kinderdijk is one of the most photographed places and one of the most popular postcard motifs in the country. Besides the windmills, the region has many other sights to offer. Discover picturesque waterholes, locks and dikes that stretch over large parts of the country. See with your own eyes how the Dutch have been mastering, controlling and harnessing water for over 1,000 years. The windmills of Kinderdijk are a must-see if you are interested in the history of the Netherlands. Rotterdam, founded in 1230, is the second largest city in the Netherlands after Amsterdam, with a population of around 610,000. It is located in the province of South Holland at the mouth of the Rhine into the North Sea. Rotterdam's seaport, which includes Europort, is the largest port in Europe, number 3 in the world. Nevertheless, Rotterdam has long since defined itself not only by its port, but also convinces with unique architecture, modern flair and a colorful lifestyle. People from all over the world live and cavort here, who feel connected to the young trendy city. Many facets surround Rotterdam. It is a port city with many faces. Many skyscrapers dominate the cityscape, and yet they are not oppressive, rather, they are fascinating. Just like the impressive cube houses. Rotterdam's landmark is the Euromast, built in 1960. This observation tower is 185 meters high. Once the Euromast was the highest building in the city. On a clear day, you can see about 30 kilometers from here, all the way to The Hague and Antwerp. Brussels looks back on an eventful history that has left its mark everywhere in the cityscape, so that Belgium's centre is a real treasure chest of historical sites, royal splendorous buildings, imposing churches and exciting architecture. Brussels is often called the political capital of the EU, and its location between the Dutch tourist magnet Amsterdam and the French cosmopolitan city of Paris does the rest. The city has numerous highlights to offer. For example, you can discover the beautiful Grand Place with its imposing city hall, the Atomium, great parks, beautiful alleys full of chocolate stores and waffle stores, as well as cool bars with a large selection of craft beer. The landmark of the city of Brussels and therefore a tourist must see is the bronze fountain figure of a water-letting monniken. Actually, the monniken piece was built in the Ransbeek neighborhood under the reign of Duke Albert at the beginning of the 17th century for the purpose of civic water supply. The bronze statue, only 61 centimeters high, was created by the Brussels sculptor Jérôme de Quesnoy. For Belgians, the small, provocative figure now also has another symbolic meaning. It stands for freedom of expression, fundamental democratic values, tolerance and free resistance. The wonderful Belgian city of Bruges is a must-see and must-experience. Like no other city in Europe, Bruges invites you to take a relaxed stroll. The city centre of the small Belgian town could also be the perfect backdrop for a medieval movie. Tourists from all over the world stroll through the picturesque old town of Bruges, chat animatedly in small restaurants and cafes on the historic market square, or take boats through the romantic canals. Bruges is truly a UNESCO World Heritage Site to touch and experience. The many hundreds of years old city centre is home to great restored hotels and quaint guesthouses. The many churches and the Grote Markt tell the story of Belgian history and bring it to life in the city. Tourists make themselves comfortable in carriages and look at the many cobblestone streets and medieval buildings of the city at a pleasant pace. If you're taking a city break to Bruges, be Be sure to climb the belfry and gaze out over the rooftops. The 83-meter high tower on the central market square is the landmark par excellence of Bruges and thus an absolute must-see of the city. As the capital and largest city of Luxembourg, Luxembourg City is a treasure trove of sights. As you stroll through the narrow cobblestone streets of the Old Town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, you'll pass historic buildings, green parks and small cafes, and discover hidden weekly markets time and again. Mixed in with all these dreamy places are the ultra-modern banks of the business district, which give the city its characterful style. Start your sightseeing tour at the fish market, the focal point and meeting point of the locals. Let yourself be enchanted by the splendor of the Grand Ducal Palace and the Cathédrale Notre Dame, and see the imposing Pont Adolphe towering over the green parks de la Pétrasse. Things get wonderfully mystical in the casemates du Boc, the casemates of Luxembourg City. In the winding underground cave system, the past of the medieval city comes alive. Not far away, from the Chemin de la Corniche, the most beautiful balcony in Europe, you'll have a wonderful view of the idyllic Barrier Grund. This district, which is located below the Old Town in the valley of the gently rippling Alzette, is also worth a detour. Between the small markets with traditional handicrafts and quaint pubs, there is a rural flair that almost makes you forget how lively it is. A few steps, or a ride on the Saint-Esprit elevator, above.